Welcome to another episode of All About Your Benjamins, the podcast. This is the More Than Money series, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube. And today I'm going to be introducing you and having a great conversation with my friend Jordan Benold. Jordan is the author of High Earners, Not Wealthy Yet, which his chapter begins on page 89 if you're following along at home. And we've got a short and sweet intro, so let's get this done and get you to the conversation with Jordan. Jordan is the co-owner of Benold Financial Planning with his father. He's a fee-only financial planner in Frisco, Texas, serving clients in Texas. He specializes in helping physicians with financial planning. His father, uncle, and both grandfathers were physicians, so taking care of the family and then those that extend beyond that with his firm. All right. That's enough for me. Let's get to this awesome conversation with Jordan. I hope you enjoy it. If you've not bought your book yet, you're probably tired of hearing me say this. Go get your copy today and enjoy this conversation. So Jordan, how long have you been a financial advisor?
I've been a financial advisor for 4 years. I'm about to start my 5th year helping clients.
All right. So countless meetings in that time, numbers of clients. So you've seen a lot of different stories play out, a lot of different conversations that have been had. What was it about this particular story that made you choose it for the book?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why I chose this particular client or couple is because my niche specialty and people that I help is physicians. And with physicians, people think that they make a lot of money and they don't have any type of money problems. They earn high salaries, they can afford a lot of things in life. Why would they have any type of problems? However, that's not always the case in modern society. And so I had a few that came to me, and the first thing I always do for my clients is look at their budget. I need to have that foundation set of where we can go. Can we do anything? Because if you don't have any room to, buy more insurance or invest more money or pay off more debt, we can't really move forward. So from a budgetary standpoint, I always need to have that foundation. And I had this client come to me and I was really like, wow, you make a lot of money, but you have no savings at all. There is no budgetary movement. I can't do anything. We need to really get into expense management. And that was very rare, but I think that's happening to a lot of people in society, not just within my purview of my clients that I see, but I think a lot of people, everybody sees the statistics of, 63% can't afford over a $400 emergency or something like that. And so when I saw a physician in this, I said, well, maybe I need to write about this and explore, how do you help somebody in this case? Because I think a lot of people might be in this case, but they just don't know how to get started.
Well, what I think about that is that in some ways is good. One, it lets the high earners out there know that just because you make good money, if you don't have an understanding of where that money's going, it's very easy to wind up with no savings because it can come out just as quick as it comes in. But also I think it's reassuring to people who might be struggling themselves because they aren't high earners to see that sometimes money problems aren't just for those who don't make a lot of money. Even those that you would think would have everything together and have more means struggle just as much. And I think that I think Carl Richards was the first person who put on my radar to think about it this way, but that budget doesn't necessarily have to be a restrictive term. I think a lot of people think it is, and that's why they don't want to go dive down that. Or if you're being honest with yourself and you dive into your budget, you have to be honest. There's no lying about, well, I think I'm spending this much on shoes or clothes or whatever. You can see exactly where your money's going, and sometimes we lie to ourselves about what we're really doing, and that honesty kind of hurts. But I think you tell me, once you get past the initial budget review with clients and you kind of fix things up and you get it, does the word budget shift from a restrictor to more of an empowering situation of, okay, it's not I can't spend money, it's I get to spend my money on these things because I've identified those are the important parts. What have you found?
Yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the head, Justin, is that, I teach this at my church also. We have a whole seminar that I do on Saturdays about 4 times a year, and we have adults come in there, and we teach them about one aspect is the budgeting standpoint. And the first question I ask them, I say, hey guys, is the budget a limiting factor or is it a liberating factor? Mm-hmm. And they kind of think to themselves, the first thing you think is a limiting factor, but then, wow, he said liberate. What does that mean? It sounds better. I think I should answer that way, but I don't feel like it's that way. And so I try to tell them, you need to flip this over. You always think, okay, I earn money, I pay my bills, I have fun in the month, I spend it, and what's left over, that's my savings, that's my earnings. And I tell people, no, you need to flip it around. You need to use your employer if you can, save for your retirement with your 401k, that's gone. Automate your savings, that's gone. You don't even touch it. I say try to take the human element out of it. Automate it. And I always quote, Atomic Habits and James Clear. I'm like, systems in place that are going to help you succeed. Put the systems in place. And so that drives the habits. And so I say, get that retirement set, get that savings set, pay your bills. And then I said, guess what, guys? This is the liberating factor. You get to spend everything else. Spend it all. That's what's fun about it. And the rest of the month, spend it all. And then the next month, we repeat the cycle. And these type of behaviors and these type of habits add up. And so they can be very, very motivating once you see this time, month after month, year after year. And all of a sudden you can see, oh, wow, we're out of debt. Or, oh, wow, we have a big savings net. Or, wow, look at our investments. They're really high. And so it's really a good thing just to try to flip it on its head. It's hard to get in your head mentally because you always think that the budget is the 4-letter word. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about it. Skeletons in the closet. I don't want to open it. So, there's a ton of sayings out there about this, but I think that trying to get people to understand if I automate it, I don't have to think about it, and then I'm set up.
It's amazing what a little bit of shift of perspective. It's the same thing in both lenses, but you can choose an optimistic lens or you can choose a pessimistic lens, and it will totally change the way that you view it. We may have hit on it already, if you want to elaborate more, but maybe not. When you think about your chapter and why you wrote it, what's the main message you want people to take away from it?
I think it's about everybody needs a budget. I think that's the basic line. I could just stop there, but everybody. It doesn't matter. And I think people think that budgets are set up for cash-strapped individuals, when that's not the case at all. You need a budget when you're a college student. You need a budget if you're a neurosurgeon or, a tech entrepreneur or anything else in between. You need to know where your money's going. I think that that's the problem in society today is, my grandmother, my mother and dad, how did they know what was in their bank account? They didn't get online. There was no internet. They did a checkbook. What's a checkbook today? No one knows what that is. No one pays with a check anymore. But they had to know this was in my account. I mean, this is call the bank and get what's my balance, just to double check, or get my monthly statement in the mail. What do people do today besides go to online banking or just swipe? No one has that daily check mark of what's my debits, what's my credits, like a T-chart. No one has that anymore. No one follows that. But I think you have to do it because it's the foundation. It is the bedrock. Every client, every new prospect that comes in the door, I want to know what their benchmark is. I need to know what's going on because, guys, if you need to save more, I can't do anything if we have no room. If you need more insurance, we can't buy it. If you want to pay off debt, well, you just don't have the extra funds to do it. So I need to know that every client I get, okay, what's your savings rate? What are your overall annual expenses? And, that's very hard because it's not like everybody says, here it is, here's my number. Mm-hmm. No one has that. And so I have to get to that and I have to help them. But that is, for me, that is like the foundation that I need to know before we can start building the pyramid of things that need to get done.
And one of the nice things about having an understanding of your budget, going back to kind of it being liberating, is to say, things might be fine the way they are today and you don't have to make any big changes, but you know where your spending is going. And then if you have a new goal or you have something traumatic happen and you need to adjust your budget, you can really quickly go to the areas that you can pull back on to make that up or achieve that goal faster, rather than in that moment trying to figure things out. So knowing where your money is going and how it's being allocated allows you to identify where you could pull back if you needed to. Hopefully you don't, but again, even having that budget and managing your finances to it doesn't mean you have to be pinching pennies and be very conservative with your money. It's more of, to me at least, I think the budget is just having a better understanding of where it's going, so you identify what's being spent where, so you know. And without knowing is when you get yourself in trouble.
I think I agree with that, Justin. And it's really because you got to see what the value is. I'm spending what on what? Mm-hmm. What? I don't want that. I didn't even know really it was that much. Or I'm spending it on this. Okay, I agree with that. And we're not talking about everybody likes to use the example of the $5 Starbucks a day. I mean, we're not talking about that level. We want to raise it a bit higher on what we're spending on. What services are we constantly spending on? Are we seeing value with that? Could you do it yourself? Sometimes these things are just on automated. I'm not checking my accounts all the time. but is it really worth it? I mean, it's amazing that there's a whole business around canceling your memberships. I mean, it's amazing. You don't even know what you have, but you can have a company actually do it for you. And so I try to get people, what is the value? If there's value in spending that money, great. If there's no value, then maybe let's not do that.
So spending a lot of time focusing on the budget and helping clients understand that, I would say, does not fit the stereotype of a financial advisor. There's a mold that we're trying to break as a community and why we wrote the book. But what is one misconception about advisors that you would like to clear up? Could be something through your story or just something really bothers you that people think this is about financial advisors, which isn't true. Like, what would you want to clear up?
I would just say that, the studies have shown us most of the most untrusted industries out there. And I get it because it's big in headlines. You can't go through thinking about financial advisors with the word Madoff coming up or anything like that. It's very hard for me to just sit here and say I'm trustworthy over Zoom or meeting in person. And people look at it like I'm a profiteer. That's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to sell you something or push something on you, even if you don't need it or not. I mean, that is not what a CFP or a fiduciary does. It's I'm going to get into your shoes and try to help you out the best. And I think that that's what it is that we are not here to just profiteer. I'm here to add value or some X of value. And I want you, every time I look at somebody and I say, I'm going to charge you X for the services that I provide, I want to provide more than that, where they're like, wow, he did this for me and charged me this. So it's got to be some multiple, but it definitely has to be value there. Some people, they don't need financial planning. Other people need a lot of it. It's kind of like everything in life. But I think one of the things why they don't come to see me, and then I use that because it's my niche, is like people are scared to go to the doctor. People are scared to go to the dentist. They don't want to know what they're going to find out. Same with going to a financial advisor. I like being in my hole or under my rock, and I'm scared what they're going to find or tell me that I have to do that's going to break that lifestyle. And I think circling back to budget, what am I going to tell them that they have to cut? That's going to break my lifestyle. It's going to break a habit, break something I want to do, even if it's adding no value. That's really, from a lifestyle standpoint, from a habit standpoint, that is very hard to tell someone, because there's many times that I'll say, okay, let's stop doing this. And you and I both know that they're not going to stop it. It's kind of like a physician saying you need to lose weight and you got to stop smoking. How many times does he see that patient every year saying the same thing and the same thing? It's very, when it comes down to finances, it's all behavior. And I think I want to try to help that, but it's very hard just to construe that over, with this whole industry, thinking that we're just there to profiteer, which is not. I'm really there to try to help them out at the end of the day.
And if going back, once you teach them how to evaluate the value within their budget, if they don't find the value in working with you, then now they've been empowered to walk away because that's not worth the money. So I think
exactly.
It's good. I've asked all the advisors to be a little transparent, be a little vulnerable, kind of share some things about themselves. So the one question I think has been fun so far is, what's been your best personal finance decision?
Okay, I thought about this one, and I've been asked this before, and I remember answering it a certain way, like, a housing or a stock, but that's kind of, everybody's going to say something like this. So my best financial transactions is getting married to who I love and staying married. We've been married to my wife for 13 years over more. I can't tell people how costly a divorce would be, losing 50%, especially in the state of Texas. That's what happens pretty much evenly. It's a community property state. But that is definitely the best financial decision I've ever made, is being in love, being with my wife, staying with my wife, not getting a divorce. And that, I think, that doesn't sound like a financial decision, but really at the end of the day, if you went through that path, it would be a financial decision.
I saw somebody just this morning tweet out like an underappreciated, I don't think they're talking about from finance, like as an advisor, but that, marrying the right person is a big leg up. And I would add, not just from the cost of the divorce and everything, because that's very true, but also marrying the right person to where you and that individual are on the same page when it comes to finances. If whether you have the same values or you complement each other, what it might be, because that's really important as well, because we know that money is a big cause of divorce. So it's weird to think about, I don't know, I forget how old you are, so try to do the reverse math. But I met my wife when I was 21. So to think about telling my 21-year-old self to go into the relationship of thinking about how does this person manage their money and what's their money story. Like, it's weird to tell people to think about that when they're falling in love. And I don't know if that should be a part of something we say, because it makes it seem like it's superficial and we should love people for who they are. But I do think it is, as you get further into the relationship, it is something that should carry a lot of weight, and you at least need to know. Like, don't wait to get to the other side to figure out what that person's stance is on money, because then it might be a little bit too late, because now either you have the bad money problems and the divorce, or, lots of things go there. So it is something, I don't know how we tell people to be aware of that, but it is a very important thing when it comes to the big picture.
Yeah, I agree. It's the heart and the brain, and they both kind of need to go together. And there's huge red flags with either one. But yes, I think that you follow the heart, and then your brain starts talking to you. I remember having those conversations with my wife in the very beginning. She had student loan debt. We made a conscious effort. Hey, let's pay this off, and she was on the same page. Yes, let's pay this off. With budgeting right, with bonuses that we got at work, we were going to get out of debt, and that was one thing that we really strived in our early marriage to do that. It's funny that you talk about going into a marriage and different people. It's very interesting to me, and this is not by far everybody, but it's always like I see one as a spender, one as a saver, and it's like the complements each other as long as they can work it out. And it's funny because when I talk to these couples, he's the spender, she's the spender, and then he or she just kind of nods, and it's like it's good. You have that open communication, you realize who you are, and we're moving forward. And I think that's the best, that those can survive, those type of marriages. And it's fun to see that. You also see one that's more of a giver, one that's more of a keeper. But it's the opposites, and it goes together. And that's why I always talk about, have these budget talks with you and your spouse. And where are we? What did we do this last month? How are we on track? And so I think that those are good things to have. Open communication is always the best. And so I always think, my wife and I are always talking about, it doesn't matter what you do today, or, what's our budget like. It doesn't matter the topic. I just think that that's a very important aspect to a healthy financial life.
So on the flip side of that question, I've tried to work on framing this so it's not a negative shaming type of question, but what is the least ideal financial decision you've made that taught you the biggest lesson? AKA, what's your money mistake?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, I got to tell us, I take the Financial Peace University, or Dave Ramsey, at our church a few times a year. And this is always kind of, I have to bring it up where I made a financial mistake. So back in, I was working for Bank of America back in 2008, 2009, during the whole mortgage crisis. It was amazing to be there. I was working at Countrywide before they were acquired. So I was deep in the subprime mortgage of what was going on. Amazing. I kept my job there because I was working on the servicing side. But me and a group of guys there, we thought we knew everything about stocks. We thought we knew, the market's coming up. We would always talk about stocks. And so I got my wild hair, and this is when I was dating my wife, and I was trying to save for an engagement ring, and I was like, but I could put some money. I think Citi is going to do better. They're going to have better results this quarter. They're going to do much better. So I invested a sum of money. I shouldn't have invested that much, but I just knew it. I knew it. I could pick this stuff. I'm in the business. I knew it. This quarter, they're going to report earnings. It's going to be more than what the analysts say. The stock's going to go up. Well, fast forward to that day, and yes, Citi did, but I don't know that. I mean, there's no way I would have known that as being in my position. And the earnings went up, but guess what? To the stock price went down. I did not get it. I lost a lot of money. I just thought to myself, I do not understand the fundamentals of this. And, coming and, that was way before I worked in this industry, but now you can just see you don't know anything. There are people paid so much more money. There's people with pensions that have so much more data that they don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end of the day. So I took a hard beating in the stock market back in that time, thinking that what's going to happen when you really don't. Oh, I know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. Oh, I know what's going to happen with cannabis. I mean, you name the hot and upcoming topic, and people think they know just sitting at their homes and reading the internet or getting a newsletter. That goes out to hundreds of thousands of people that all know the same thing, and no one knows what's going to happen in the short term at all.
And you could even be right, and it could still go against you, because that's the way Wall Street works sometimes.
That's what I tell Justin. It's funny. So I tell my clients this, and then my prospects, when we have the meeting, I tell them, I'm not the weatherman. I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen today, tomorrow, in a year, in 5 years. I don't want to be the weatherman. I want to be long term. I'm always long term. I'm not a stock picker. I like to get these things out of the way. That I like to have like a balanced allocation depending on the risk, and then I can see 15 to 30 years. That's where I like to focus. Short term, I no one knows what's going to happen.
When the weatherman's wrong most of the time anyway. So like,
especially in Texas this last week. Yeah, we were all inside.
Well, this being a part of More Than Money was a time commitment. Writing your chapter, peer editing, going back and fixing your chapter, doing more peer editing. And as I've told everybody in pretty much every episode, the proceeds of this book all go to financial planning organizations. Foundation for Financial Planning, the BLX internship program right now. So there was no financial incentive for you to do this, and it took your time. And time is valuable. So what was it about this project that made you want to be a part of it?
I just think at the end of the day that, people don't really know where their money's going. And it doesn't matter if you're cash strapped or if you have lots of money. You need to allocate where it's all going. And you don't have to really sit down there and have a full, thorough budget. But, over the last 2 months, look at your credit card, look at your bank statement. Just kind of see, is this going to something valuable? Is this helping my life or not? And I think that, like you said, every dollar should be allocated. Do I like where that's going? Do I not? And I don't, no one has the checkbook. No one's writing where the money's being spent. It's very hard to follow that. You can get on online banking, but they're going to have your transactions. Are you actually putting that in categories? So organization, following a budget, am I doing the right things? And as you know, doing it at a young age has monster growth benefits in the long run. So I just think that, just because, in my case, I serve physicians and healthcare professionals and they're earning quite a lot of money, that you need to have a plan with this money. You need to know what you're doing with it. And it starts at that, once again, that foundation, that bedrock level. Am I doing the right things from a budget so then I can grow it and do the right things in the future?
Well, to give listeners a little takeaway, do you have a favorite budget app that you recommend to people?
I like either Tiller or Mint, setting your your bank accounts or your credit cards to that, and then kind of categorize it for you, and then over the month you can see it. Those work great. Personally, I'm old school. I've done mine through Excel. If you want to set something up or get a template, you can do it that way. But I think those are the two best ones that are out there.
I would plus one Tiller. I like Tiller, so we'll plus one that. All right, Jordan. Well, hey, I appreciate you. In addition to all of the time you gave to the book, giving time to the podcast so we could highlight you and let people hear more about your chapter. Again, chapter starts on 89, high earners, not yet or not wealthy yet, in More Than Money. By now you should have, got out of focus, but by now you should have that, have your copy. Check that out. And Jordan, if anybody wants to follow you, where can they find you on social media? I'll have it in the show notes below, but just in case somebody's listening, where can they find you?
Sure. On Twitter, it's J_Benold, my last name, Benold. Or on Facebook, Benold Financial Planning. That's the name of my company. Both are out there, and you can follow me for any tidbits that I have for you.
Awesome. Well, as I've done with everybody, I want to thank you again for the time here, but thank you for the time and contributing to the book, because I believe things come to be as they're supposed to, and without your chapter, this book wouldn't be complete. It would be good, but it wouldn't be great, and this is a great book. So thank you for being a part of it. I appreciate you bringing that story to it, because it was unique, and the book needed it. And to everybody listening and watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the book. Remember, everything about personal finance is way more than money, hence the name of the book, More Than Money. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Thanks, Justin.